What's happening, people? Welcome to Music Monday. Music Monday it is. And we are on to the third record that Coyote put out. This came out in 1995, and it was an album called Lucky Day. All right, we did this at Johnny Sandlin's studio in Decatur, Alabama. And one of the first things I can remember is right in the middle of the recording session, Michael Pierce, who did the album cover artwork for this record, brought that cover in while we were in there recording this, and we just loved it. And Johnny loved it. It had that old man with the oil funnel thing on his head and a giant rainbow trout on the front of it. It's one of my favorite album covers he ever did, and probably this is really kind of one of my favorite albums we did. It just kind of captures that time in the band's evolution when we really kind of hit stride and figuring out whatever it was we were going to evolve into. It was all starting to come together. So let's just dive right in. The Lucky Day album, first track up is a tune I wrote called By and By. It's a spiritual tune, actually. So what's this about? Well, I lost the notebook many years ago to this one. So this album came out in 95. Probably wrote this song 93, 4, somewhere in there. And I do remember that I had probably been thinking about all the different denominations of the Christian faith and how we're kind of all in the same river. We're just in different canoes heading the same direction, all hoping for the same destination, which is salvation. So that was one part of it. And then the other part of it, I think, as I can remember, growing up in western North Carolina where you got Pisgah there and all those mountains, and kind of grew up on a big farm, and nature was a big part of my grounding point for spirituality when I was growing up. So it's where I felt closest to God. It was always being out in the woods, deep in the woods, and that kind of awesome wonder when you can really sense your place in it. You're not separate from it. You're tied to the whole complex weave of the whole thing. All right, so somewhere in that, we've been touring out in Colorado and Wyoming, all these beautiful places, and had been thinking about that song "In the Sweet By and By," and I think that's where the chorus ties into this. It's like when you're wondering, hey man, this didn't just randomly happen. It's got to be bigger than us. It's bigger. It's so much bigger than what our little brains are capable of understanding. But it didn't just randomly happen. It's kind of the belief, the faith in that you can experience it right there in nature, where I used to feel it the most prominent. All right, so that's kind of what you got. You're merging those two camps, and I love that line. The second verse, it says, "And everybody keeps their faith afloat in the same old river, just a different boat." So, guitar players, this one's in standard tuning, which is not a whole lot of them in standard tuning, but this one is. It's not hard to play, but there's a couple of tricks to it. So, first thing I got to show you is on that opening lick, it's in G. And then you go up to the 5th fret and you're playing this A7 chord and you're sliding it up to the 7th and back to the 5th. So it kind of goes like this, but it's an A7, that's just second 2 on the 2nd fret. It's that chord right there, so you're just moving it up to the 5th. So that it swings to the D, and then you do it again, you're picking backwards from the G. Into the verse. Now there's a swing in the verse. I just have to show you this one chord. All it is D and G. But when you get to the G, you got to put your index finger on the first string on the 2nd fret. And it's that chord right there, and then you're just taking it off. I use this in a lot of our songs. I don't know technically what that's called, but that's the chord, and then you just swing it. It's got almost like a go-go groove under it. And that's kind of how I'm doing it right there. Bridge is easy. Bridge is just a B minor, A, E minor, G. That's all there is to it. So guitar players, if you really want to learn it, join my Patreon. I'll show you how to do it. That's the easiest way to learn how to do it. And that's what we got today. John Felty sings this song. We always tried to pick out a couple of them per record that he would do, and he did a good job on this one. One more little tidbit, that I play that Gidjo solo in the middle of this song, and that weird effect you hear on it, it's called a Mutron. Johnny had this little box, looked like a guitar effects pedal, called a Mutron. I had never seen one. So you plug in, it's got like an envelope filter with a phase shifter on it going back and forth, and that's how we got that crazy sound. So I put it on that Gidjo. Johnny made me put it on there, and we played that solo. That same effect Sanders uses on his bass at the beginning of Lucky Day. You'll hear that coming up here in a couple more weeks when we get to that one. A Mootron, if you want to know what that was. So that's what we got in scale today. A spiritual tune I wrote many moons ago called By and By is the first track on Lucky Day. Like, follow, by all means share. And as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story, and you do.